Let me explain how the US dollar dominates the $6 trillion a day foreign exchange market. It serves as a vehicle currency. What does that mean? It means that if you're trading Canadian dollars for Japanese yen, most likely you'll sell Canadian dollars to buy US dollars and then sell the US dollars to buy the Japanese yen. In this chart from a research paper by Fabricius Samogyi, you can see on the vertical axis the total price impact or transactions cost of buying one currency and selling another for each of a selection of currency pairs. If you sell Canadian dollars and buy Japanese yen directly, without using the US dollar as a vehicle currency, your estimated transaction cost is about 8 basis points, which is about 0.08%. Doesn't sound like much, but in a $6 trillion a day market, it's expensive. The alternative of using the US dollar as an intermediate or vehicle currency gives you a transactions cost which is shown in the much smaller black bar, which is a fraction of 1 basis point. And for this reason, almost all foreign exchange transactions have the US dollar on at least one side. This means the dollar dominates foreign exchange markets. The linchpin of dollar dominance in terms of international finance is the US Treasury security. This is how US dollars are held globally. The US Treasury security is the world's safe haven. Whether it's as a flight to quality instrument, so that in a panic or in a financial crisis, investors around the world can buy US Treasuries. This chart, prepared in the research paper by Baroni et al., a Federal Reserve paper, shows on the vertical axis the change in bond yields at the 10-year point for US Treasury securities and for a selection of other major global bonds. At the advent of the COVID crisis in 2020, investors around the world became concerned at the beginning of that year that COVID would be a major macroeconomic source of stress. And as the year progressed, they increasingly bought US Treasury securities and sold the bonds of other countries. In this sense, the United States Treasury security is a safe haven. Its yields dropped. The cost to the United States government of borrowing dropped. A big benefit to the United States that its borrowing costs drop under stress. The United States Treasury security is the world's deepest and most liquid financial instrument and is a linchpin of dollar dominance. Investors around the world rely on the US Treasury security when they are buying bonds in order to hedge against future stress events, or whether it's a source of liquidity under stress, so that in a crisis, investors around the world can use their Treasury securities to obtain cash. The US Treasury security is the world's most important safe haven.